Hello and welcome to a scene for Vampire by Gaslight. Today, Jonas Pakula has made his way home after a particularly brief but worrisome fight and several strange experiences that he has had during it. But all of that seems to have stopped before he reaches his home.
Jonas, for his part, after having his skin sort of uncrawl beneath itself after getting the itching sensation diminished after apparently being doused from this internal fire that he seemed to be having, make sure to check himself. He looks at his hands, his arms, goes ahead and kicks his boot next to the little stoop next to his own little townhouse and simply goes ahead and shrugs. One thing he will do is he will check and see if that obfuscated child is still there.
It's gone. And it wasn't obfuscated,
Noted.
it was just a grimy street urchin that was hiding but was paying more than a bit of attention to your house.
Fair dues. I must have been confused since I rolled awareness.
Yep, but it's more about the prickle on the back of your throat, on the back of your neck.
Alright, fair dues. Mr. Polka will go ahead and jump up his particular stoop, go ahead and knock on his own door.
There won't be an answer.
He's going to go ahead and retrieve his own keys and actually see about unlocking his own door.
It's not locked, it's just nobody's come to answer it.
Jonas is going to be fairly annoyed at this. He's going to go ahead and open the door, getting to the middle of his entry array, go ahead and start to yell out.
There is an unconscious person on your hallway floor. Igor.
He's my attendant, isn't he?
Yep. Unconscious, tied up in case he wakes up, presumably. He seems to have a bit of a black eye developing.
Fuck. Jonas is going to go ahead and rush towards the kitchen first off.
There's actually someone sitting at the kitchen table. The door downstairs is still padlocked. But Miss Lovelace is sitting at the kitchen table, making notes in a notepad. And she'll just look up with a very casual look on her face.
Jonas will go ahead and sneer back at her, eyes narrowed, and simply say, "What are you doing here, and why is my manservant on the floor?"
Well, what I'm doing here is helping out my clanmate. Your manservant is on the floor because, well, neither you nor he knew that you needed the help. As for why I'm still here, well, I don't have the keys to the door. I could hardly leave it unlocked and your manservant unconscious. Look in the front room.
Jonas will go ahead and sneak a peek toward the front room.
Your safe is wide open.
Oh, fuck.
Nothing seems to have been moved apart from the fact that on the coffee table, the books which were resting on the coffee table have been dumped unceremoniously onto the floor. On the coffee table, there is two large bowls, one inside the other. one larger than the other. The larger bowl is full of water, and the inner bowl, which is partly but not quite floating on the water, contains something burned. But as you look at it, you get fuzzy kind of feelings, fuzzy kind of memories. You're sure that you put a doll in your safe. And this looks like it's the burned remains of the doll. And then you remember that there was a doll involved in the suicide thing, but you really can't recall how it would have got from one place to the other. And it's all a bit confusing, but you do have like the vague idea of memories that you should have that are just outside your reach.
Jonas is going to go ahead and pinch the bridge of his nose and simply say, I'm going to guess that there's no ritual or occult significance to this setup.
There's a circle of salt around the bowl. It looks like the use of the bowl inside another bowl is mostly fire prevention.
Okay, so
It
most
does
of
look like
this
they have
is...
some occult stuff, but that there is some occult signs. That, like I said, there's a circle of salt. There's some chalk scrawls on the table that seem to have been partially washed away by some of the water sloshing over. But you don't know the details of it, but the bits that you can pick up look a bit cleansing based.
Okay.
And possibly spiritualist, slightly.
Okay. These memories that are currently rushing back to him is more confusing for him than anything else. He's gonna go ahead and walk over to the safe and see if it's been tampered with.
It's been tampered with enough to open it, to get the doll out.
So it's been broken into.
It's been broken into. Everything else has been left as it was, apart from the doll that was removed.
Joseph is gonna go ahead and say, shit, I'm gonna have to buy a new safe. He looks over to the accoutrements, this particular... This apparent burning with ritual trappings, and simply yell out back into the kitchen, Miss Lovelace, would you kindly come in here and see if you can't explain some things?
Of course. And she'll make her way through.
Can you, in any way, shape, or form, explain why my safe is broken into?
Because you had placed a cursed doll inside it, and it was affecting your mind.
Can you explain why you had to incapacitate my manservant?
Because he attempted to prevent my access to your safe. And unfortunately, reasoning was not quite enough to deal with him. Considering it was affecting your mental capacity, you couldn't be trusted to allow me to do what was necessary. And I couldn't just let him stop me. He should be fine. Would you rather I just left you vulnerable? A liability to yourself and the clan? Unable to remember various things of import about your life.
Miss Lovelace, just let's not skip steps in this particular line of questioning. What made you believe that there was a doll in my safe that was starting to affect my mind?
A friend of yours went to great lengths to let me know that you were being affected by a doll. Of course, the fact that it was in your safe, that conclusion I came to by myself.
Mm-hmm. Seems I will have to take more measures for my own security of my precious documents. But which friend told you that I was being mentally unhinged?
Which of your friends do you think would most notice the mental instability? The one from the insane asylum.
You took the word of that particular bloodline about mental instability?
No, I took the warning as a reason to look into it. The mental instability was entirely evident.
This coming from your own perspectives? Or perspective of a third party?
My own.
So, with this reasoning, you didn't come to me. Fair enough. Came here, knocked out my manservant, who will be alive, I assume, or at least I know he will recover. Broke into my secure holdings using gifts of the blood, I would only assume. And then you took this item and proceeded to start a small, controlled fire in my own house.
As I said, would you have preferred me to leave you vulnerable and under its influence? Would you have preferred me to tell the regent that you allowed yourself to come under the influence of an inanimate object?
Miss Lovelace, I do appreciate the proactiveness, and I do appreciate a fellow member of the House watching my back, but you and I both know the Regent wouldn't listen to your words.
Perhaps not at first. Do you know what this thing is capable of? It would not have stopped with minor instability.
I have seen what this cursed item does to a person given enough time. I have seen a man fall to his death very, very regrettably. So, fair dues on that part, but the only thing here that I could possibly fault you for, because even my manservant is going to recover out of this, is two things. One, my safe, it will have to be reimbursed. I will have to either make pains to repair it, and even then, it is not as secure as I want it to be. And second, just the general, I hate to say it, uncomfortableness with the way you are so very, very intimate with my own security details. So, Miss Lovelace, I extend to you all due gratitude for watching my back and possibly even saving my sanity, my soul, and even my well-being, but I must ask you to leave. Your services are no longer required for transcriptions and copying. Please go ahead and tell the Regent that he'll expect a written copy of my reports in my own hand.
Fair enough. One less thing for me to worry about. As for the issue of me being comfortable with your security arrangements, believe me, that is clearly based on the fact that it needed to be done. Personally, I have no interest in breaching your security, no interest in accessing your safe in the future. As you can clearly see, or could assess if you had any interest in doing so, the only thing I removed from the safe was the cursed doll.
And I do appreciate it. I do recognize when one other member of my own house seems to be well talented in many, many different forms. And in fact, these particular talents will be useful to you down the line in your career. But for right now, I'm being very, very territorial with my own domain. But
Oh, yes, I quite understand. As I said, the only reason I remained here was because, with your manservant unconscious, I could hardly leave the place unguarded and unlocked. Do have a good night.
Miss Lace, I will endure to see you more at our Regent's Chantery.
And she's going to walk out. Just
Oh,
walk
yeah.
straight out.
Mm-hmm.
Thinking, what an ungrateful little bitch.
Jonas is going to go ahead and close the door and proceed to lock it and tend to his manservant.
Mm-hmm. He got an elbow to the eye.
Fair dues.
And there, unless there is anything else, do you have any questions about the state of your house? Apart from the fairly reasonable mess in the living room, nothing seems to have been moved or touched that you can tell. Apart from the seat that she was actually sitting on in the kitchen.
No, fair dues. I'll go ahead and if a manservant doesn't regain consciousness anytime soon, go ahead and start to clean up around the living room.
If you give him a bit of a pat to the cheek, he should wake up at some point.
Fair dues. The only thing that I'm really, really pissed off is I'm having to clean up this mess now.
But yeah, so there the scene will end.